Johnny Fenton from Perth, Rex Mackay and Des Nash from Victoria, American Merle Bettenhausen. Led around by the Craven filter car, the big field for the grand final of the Craven Filter National Speed Car Drivers' Championship, and sharing the front row, car number 1 is the American National Champion Bob Tattersall. In number 9 on the outside is Dean Hogarth, the South Australian driver. The second row, car 45, is Lou Marshall. Car 54 is Sid Middlemas. Tucked away behind them, Bob Tattersall and Barry Pinchbeck, as all the drivers salute the crowd with something like 1.5 laps to go before they actually start the 50-lap grind to decide who will take out the grand final of the Craven Filter National Speed Car Drivers' Championship. Bob Tattersall and car number 9, Dean Hogarth, sharing the front row. Middlemas and Marshall in the second row. Johnny Fenton and Pinchbeck next. Then George Tatnall. Then Blair Shepherd and Bob Morgan, the 2 Queensland drivers. Shepherd in 1, Morgan in 99, and it's between these 2 drivers. Basically, the winner will come from this situation, Craven Filter National Championship. However, if Bob Morgan finishes the race in any place, he will be the winner. He can finish last. It's a matter of finishing. Oddly enough, he is driving a car sponsored by the man who is his keenest rival tonight, Blair Shepherd. In other cars in the field, in 55, Ray Oram. In car number 7 from Western Australia, Johnny Fenton. This looks like a start, and away they go. And it's Bob Tattersall. And there's a spin back in the main straight. Quite a few cars sideways. 3 cars have pulled up in the middle of the main straight. One of them is Ray Oram. The red lights are flashing. The car's slowing down as they go through, and a bit of a bingle coming up in the back straight. Bang, into 76. That was Ron Wanless. Goes car number 60, ridden by Bruce Doolan. Wanless is out of the car very, very quickly. Doolan didn't have much opportunity to pull it up, so we have cars stranded on both sides of the track. In the back straight, we have the Queenslander, Ron Wanless, who is out of the car, hit by Bruce Doolan, while on the finish straight, we have 3 cars, one of which was the car number 55, driven by Ray Oram. So, before we've completed 1 lap, 5 cars involved in 2 separate accidents. Well, we're going away for the restart. The race only went a half a lap. At one stage, it appeared as though Ron Wanless would be out of the event, but fortunately, he was able to change a wheel. He's back in the field. And the other driver involved in the main straight scrimmage was Bob Morgan. Fortunately, he can restart, and the lights are still flashing. No start. Boys a little bit too edgy on the throttle. They'll do 1 more lap and get themselves into position, which gives me time to remind you that in the front row, Bob Tattersall and Dean Hogarth. Behind them, Lou Marshall and Sid Middlemas. And the rest of the field, as you see, packing up very, very quickly. We can tell you some of them. Barry Pinchbeck in 72, Johnny Fenton in 7, George Tatnall in 25. There's Bob Morgan in 99, Blair Shepherd in 1, Ronnie Mackay in 76, Ray Oram in 55. This could be a start, and away they go. And it's Bob Tattersall jumping immediately into the lead, followed by Dean Hogarth. Sid Middlemas going for an outside charge, followed by Barry Pinchbeck, who gets a nudge from Lou Marshall. Further back, lots of shunting. Another bit of a bingle further back, but things have sorted themselves out. No real danger in the field. Rockets down the back straightaway and into the pit corner now. A great bundle of cars will go back to the lead, where Bob Tattersall has opened up a big break on the field, leading from Dean Hogarth. There's Sid Middlemas going for a big outside charge. Manages to pick off Dean Hogarth and goes into second place. Behind them are Lou Marshall, Barry Pinchbeck, George Tatnall, then Blair Shepherd, followed through by Johnny Fenton, and Bob Morgan is 2 cars further back, followed by Ray Oram, as they go down to 2 laps completed in this 50-lap Craven Filter National Speed Car Drivers Grand Final. It's still Bob Tattersall leading the way from Sid Middlemas. A long gap then to Dean Hogarth, followed by Lou Marshall in 45, then Tatnall in 25. Look at Blair Shepherd in number 1, poking his nose up, now to about 5th place. Bob Morgan is about 6 cars further back, but all Bob Morgan in Queensland 99 has to do is finish the race, and if he doesn't finish the race and Shepherd wins, then Shepherd is the champion. Once more into the pit corner, right onto Tattersall's tail is Middlemas, going very, very wide, looking for an outside run on Bob Tattersall. Couldn't quite get him that time. Now then again to the bullpen's corner again, and this time it looks as though Middlemas may have got Bob Tattersall. He's a high liner, and he gets around the outside of the American national champion. leads down the back straight away, but bounces off the fence here. Close shave there for Sid Middlemas, but at least he's in the lead by 3 car lengths to Bob Tattersall. A long gap then to George Tatnall, followed through by Lou Marshall and Blair Shepherd, and then Barry Pinchbeck. We've had 2 withdrawals already out of the race. Rex Mackay from Victoria, and one other car will pick up in just one moment. Field rocketing down the back straight away. There's Ronnie Mackay in 76 going through, but the order at this stage is still Sid Middlemas, then Bob Tattersall, then George Tatnall, followed by Blair Shepherd, and right on his tail is Barry Pinchbeck, followed through by Lou Marshall. The rest are a long way astern. There's the race leader, 54, Sid Middlemas, followed by Bob Tattersall in number 1. Then George Tatnall in 25. A long gap further back then to Blair Shepherd in car number 1. We have a car further back in the field blowing smoke. That's Ray Oram. He's the next withdrawal. He's out of the race. And here's the field coming off the member stand corner. Middleman's leading. Tattersall, then George Tatnall, then Blair Shepherd, then Barry Pinchbeck, then Lou Marshall, then Johnny Pinter from Western Australia, and there's Bob Morgan in 99 going for an inside run. Through the member stand corner again, and our race leader is still Sid Middlemas from New South Wales in the Volvo Special 54, and he's still leading Bob Tattersall, followed through then by George Tatnall, Les Shepherd, Barry Pinchbeck, Lou Marshall, Johnny Fenton, Bob Morgan, Dean Hogarth, and then Ronnie Mackay coming into calculations. Ron Wanderless 1 car length ahead of him. Here's the field once more, coming off the big member stand corner. A long, long way to go. They've probably done 5 or 6 laps as Bob Tattersall goes around the outside of 1 car with George Tatnall on his tail, and more cars coming off. There's another withdrawal, Dean Hogarth out of the race from South Australia, and the field becoming very, very spread out, but the race leader without a question still is Sid Middlemas in the Volvo Special car number 54. There he goes, followed through by Bob Tattersall, then George Tatnall, then Blair Shepherd in car number 1. Shepherd in 4th place, then Barry Pinchbeck in 72 in 5th. There's the big gap between 1st and 2nd. Sid Middlemas in car 54, a long, long way out in front of Bob Tattersall, with George Tatnall now coming up on the outside with a bit of a challenge. Switches to the inside, but even get him on this next corner, but Tattersall had enough in reserve to pick him off. Tattersall in 1 is running 2nd. Tatnall in 25 is running 3rd. Then Blair Shepherd in 1, and then Barry Pinchbeck in 72. There's our race leader once more, Sid Middlemas at speed on the member stand corner into the back straight as Bob Tattersall. And here's one into the fence. George Tatnall has bounced off, came down on all 4, but he's got a buckled wheel. Looks like he might withdraw, and he's dropped right back and lost about 6 placings. Sid Middlemas having a charmed run out in front, the good part of 120 yards in car 54 out in front of Bob Tattersall, who seems to be a little bit of machine trouble. Then comes Blair Shepherd, followed through by Barry Pinchbeck in car 72, and looking further back through the field, Bob Morgan is still in the event, sitting right on the tail of Lou Marshall, so he's still there. All he has to do is finish. Another withdrawal. Pulling to the infield goes car number 13. Hilton McGee from Western Australia is out. There's the race leader, 54, Sid Middlemas. In 2nd place still, Bob Tattersall in 1, followed through by Blair Shepherd and Barry Pinchbeck, then Lou Marshall, then Bob Morgan, and then Johnny Fenton. Sid Middlemas in 54th line, taking an outside line this time, and comes down beautifully into the back straight as he goes around the outside of car 79. That's Jack Torrent. Middlemas a long, long way up in front of Bob Tattersall, but of course the race has a long, long way to run. Sid Middlemas driving the race of his life tonight. The field getting very, very thin. We've probably lost the best part of 6 cars already. We've only gone no more than 12 laps as Sid Middlemas goes around the outside of a very battered George Tatnall. Middlemas in 54. In fact, coming up now to lap one of the slower cars. That's Bob Pimble down the finish straight away. Pimble is almost a lap behind now. Sid Middlemas in car 54. Here comes Middlemas looking for a way around Bob Pimble as they go into the back straight away. Probably get him on the next corner. There he is going for an outside charge. A little bit of a jet of blue smoke from the tailpipe of the Volvo. Now Middlemas looks for an inside run. Had to back off because Pimble came down in front of him. But there's the pass at long last. And Sid Middlemas has lapped the first car in the race. Bob Pimble, the unlucky man, as Sid Middlemas leads into the back straight away. Pimble a lap behind in car number 12. The next car through is car number 1. That's Tattersall running 2nd. Then Blair Shepherd in front. He's running 3rd. Then Barry Pinchbeck in 72. He's back in 4th place. Bob Morgan is now through for 5th place. still our race leader in car number 54, and he's just mowed this field down as he's never done before in a speed car race. Tattersall. And all eyes, though, are on Sid Middlemas in 54, who is just mowing him down. We've never seen Sid Middlemas hear him, scare him, Sid drive like this before. He's absolutely flying tonight and just mowing his field down. There he goes, 54. The cars behind him are lapped and spotless in 76 Queensland, and Mackay, the local boy, in 76. They've been lapped to give you some indication of the tremendous pace here tonight. We've had another withdrawal. Earl Bettenhausen, the American, is out, and a little bit of flame underneath the car, but he seems to be quite okay. There's Middlemas in 54. He's now the best part of 200 yards up on Bob Tattersall. Behind him is Blair Shepherd, then Barry Pinchbeck, then Bob Morgan. That's how they're standing the first 5 placings in this grand final of the Craven National Speed Car Drivers' Championship. Once more, Middlemas into the pit corner. The motor sounding just a little bit rough. He's coming up the lap. Bob Pimble for the second time in this race. Over the finish line again they go, and into the bullpens corner, the big member stand sweep. And the gap between he and Tattersall is rapidly becoming a half a lap. As Middlemas goes into the back straightaway, Tattersall is just leaving the finish straightaway, almost a half a lap. Middlemas in 54, a beautifully prepared Caracar Volvo number 54. Who started from position 4 with only 85 points after a hard luck story in the early interstate rounds, has left this field standing. There he goes, taking a high line around the outside of George Tatnell, who is just crawling around with a car which is a little bit bent after a bump with the safety fence in the back straightaway, and he has the track to himself, literally. No one within cue of him, and in about 3 or 4 laps, I'll say, he'll be lapping Graham Webster for the second time, and he'll have a fair show of lapping Lou Marshall. Sid Middlemas, 54, miles out in front as the next bunch goes into pit corner, but they're so far behind that it's just not a race. We notice further back in the field that from the cockpit of the Blair Shepherd Offie, quite a deal of steam issuing. Blair Shepherd once more is trying to get his car going as we watch Sid Middlemas in 54 coming up now. The tail of Graham Webster going the finish straight away, and here he goes around the outside on the bullpen sweep. Picks a beautiful line. He'll have to hurry to get into position, but he does so. Throws a lot of dirt in the air as he goes down the back straightaway. Now into pit corner after lapping Graham Webster for the second time. Now once more down the finish straightaway. He's coming up to lap George Tatnell, I would think, for the second time. If the Volvo can only hold together, he has a reasonable chance of lapping all bar the first 3 other cars home. There's George Tatnell in 25 in lots of trouble as Middlemas once more comes off the pit corner and goes down under the green lights. Been given a lap flag there. I'd say they're getting fairly close to the halfway distance. Middlemas taking a nice, easy, leisurely ride now as he goes down the back straightaway. In something like 2 or 3 laps will be on the tail of Johnny Fenton of Western Australia. Further back in the field, we've had Graham Webster bounce off the fence. He's quite okay, and Blair Shepherd, in fact, also bounced off the fence, got back into the race and was quite okay. So back in the pack, still lots of excitement. And Sid Middlemas in 54 having a charmed ride as he lapped Bob Pimble for the 3rd time. He's now coming up on the tail of, I think that one is Kevin Park's car, to try and lap him. And tonight, nothing, but nothing, no car, no driver can touch flying, hair 'em, scare 'em. Sid Middlemas, no. Look at that steam now starting to gush up from the cockpit of the Volvo Special. Let's hope that after this magnificent drive through the early traffic that his car will last the distance. He's down the end of the finish straight once more and into the member stand sweep once more, coming up on the tail fairly shortly of Johnny Fenton of Western Australia. Fenton in WA7, and then Marshall is in 45. Sid Middlemas coming up to lap those 2 cars. He's probably 100 yards behind them. Most of the real action is further back in the pits, in the pit corner, where Bob Morgan and Blair Shepherd are having a great old dice with a number of other cars. Middlemas in 54, again coming up on the tail of Fenton, and also of the other car, which is Lou Marshall. Try and pick them off in just a few seconds. I'll have a quick look back through the field and see what's happening there. Bob Tattersall is still being trailed by Barry Pinchbeck. Blair Shepherd, after a bunch with the fence, has bounced back through the traffic, lost a couple of placings. So the order at this stage is Middlemiss, Bob Tattersall, Barry Pinchbeck, Blair Shepherd then, who has managed to repass Bob Morgan. There the way the cars are sitting down. The next car then is Ron Wanless in car 76. Up again as they come off the members' stand with a lot of steam coming from the cockpit of the Middlemiss Volvo 54 as he comes up on the tail of Johnny Fenton, the West Australian driver in car number 7, looks for an inside pass, changes his mind, goes to the outside and picks him off. So Sid Middlemiss going within an ace tonight of lapping one of the hottest fields ever to crowd onto the famous Sydney Showground, third of a mile, but we're worried about that car. There's steam pouring out of it in all directions. Sid Middlemiss in 54 is now coming up on the tail of the team car. Car number 45, driven by Lou Marshall. And if you can lap him, that's an achievement in itself. Middlemiss in 54, right of screen, comes up on the tail of Lou Marshall. You can see the gap is only about maybe 20, 25 yards. And the way Middlemiss is driving, you can easily pick him off. Further back, no other changes as Bob Tattersall is still trailed by Barry Pinchbeck in 72, who's going for an inside run and really hustling him along tonight. Middlemiss in 54, again, right on the tail of Lou Marshall in 45. Let's pick up some of the action a bit further back. Some of the cars coming off the big member stand sweep. The great old dogfight going on here between Tattersall and Pinchbeck. There goes Shepherd and Morgan, and then Mackay, and then Ron Wanless, and then Webster, who's been lapped on several occasions. Out high there is Lou Marshall going around the outside of Bob Pimble. Some more action further back in the pack. Great scrap between Pinchbeck and Bob Tattersall. Tattersall still second, followed by Pinchbeck, then Blair Shepherd, and then Bob Morgan, followed through by George Tatnall. They're holding the first 6 positions. But there's the race leader once more, Sid Middlemiss in 54, halfway through the pit corner and getting the car straight for the run down the straightaway. It looks as though it's all over. The checkered flag has gone. It's all over. And Sid Middlemiss won the 50 lapper. Yet another car goes into the back straight fence. That was Bob Tattersall, of all people, has hit the back straight fence before the race has ended. So Tattersall is not an official place getter. He's quite okay. The car wee bit bent, but he'll be okay. And decides to wave a little finger there to Barry Pinchbeck, runs to the infield. The winner of the race, though, was Sid Middlemiss. I would imagine the placings behind him would have been Barry Pinchbeck second, Blair Shepherd third, and Bob Morgan fourth. But the winner, therefore, of the Craven Filter National Speed Car Drivers' Championship for 1970 will be Bob Morgan of Queensland.
The battle smoke has cleared away, the tension has disappeared, and the victors proudly collect the rewards of competition. Burly Sid Middlemiss has won the grand final and won it easily. His reward, honour, prestige, and a healthy cheque from sponsors WD and H.O. Wills. Second place getter, Barry Pinchbeck, a graduate of stock car racing, has driven well to finish second in the Morton and May Offenhauser. Like Middlemiss, he has no chance of taking the overall point score, of course, but he raced to win this race and turned in one of his best ever performances against one of the hottest fields in history. Blair Shepherd was third man home in the race and second overall driver on points in the Craven Filter Championship, a title he won the previous season. Blair had to watch the Offie he owns finish fourth and win the championship series, an incredible turn of events. But to the man who drove the second Shepherd team car, Bob Morgan, this is his biggest night since starting a career in dirt track racing. Morgan had shadowed Shepherd throughout the championship series with consistent place-getting. The week before the grand final, he had won the Queensland State Round. The week before that, the New South Wales State Round. Shepherd, grand sportsman, champion driver, was as excited as if he and not team driver Bob Morgan had clinched the title. And the crowd loved his sincere tribute to a man he helped break into the top bracket of speed car racing. Speed car racing is a sport reserved exclusively for iron men prepared to take towering chances and invest heavily in top equipment. Once, their financial rewards were not spectacular. But the birth of the Craven Filter National Speed Car Drivers' Championship, won in its first year by Peter Caneen, dominated for a time by the great Johnny Stewart, and won last year by Blair Shepherd, has changed all that. Speed car racing, per medium of the Craven Filter National title, has come of age.